Thousands of trucks ready for sale, just sitting unused in lots.
The 500 billion truck bubble is bursting faster than anyone thought possible. Trucks that once sold for $70,000 are sitting unsold.
A tsunami of supersized American-style pickup trucks are hitting Melbourne roads as sales reach record levels.
Losing value by the week. Dealers are drowning in inventory. Families who stretched for record loans now owe more than their trucks are worth. And the crash hasn't even hit full speed yet. So how far will prices fall? Who gets crushed first? Dealers, banks, or families? And what happens when repossessions flood the streets? The break with reality. Pickup trucks were once the machines of America's backbone. Farmers drove them, contractors built towns with them, and families trusted them as affordable workhorses. But somewhere in the past decade, the truth split from reality. Trucks stopped being built for workers and started being built for Wall Street. In 2015, the average full-size pickup sold for under $40,000. Less than 10 years later, that average crossed $60,000. That is a 60% jump in sticker price, while wages barely moved an inch. Families watched their paychecks stretch thinner and thinner. Yet the trucks that were supposed to be practical suddenly looked more like luxury toys than tools. This wasn't a natural shift, it was engineered. Automakers realized they could fatten profits by loading trucks with leather, chrome, and flashy electronics. They shrunk the supply of base models and flooded showrooms with high-trim versions. When a contractor walked in looking for a $35,000 truck, they were steered toward a $65,000 luxury package. Wall Street cheered, consumers suffocated. What was once a tool became a status symbol, but the people who built this country with their hands found themselves priced out of the very trucks designed for them. The bubble began right here, when prices detached from reality and companies assumed you would simply adjust to their new game. But cracks were coming, and the first sign appeared not in boardrooms, but on the lots themselves. Lots overflow. Drive by almost any dealership today, and the illusion falls apart. Rows of trucks sit in silence, unsold, baking in the sun for months. The same companies that told you demand was unstoppable are now begging people to take inventory off their hands. This is not a picture of strength. It is a picture of a market that has run out of buyers. Dealerships once bragged about waiting lists and limited allocations. Today, they are haunted by bloated stock that just will not move. The average days of inventory on lots has surged far beyond normal levels, with some trucks sitting for 180 days or more. That is half a year of costs, insurance, and depreciation draining dealers dry. Families are not lining up anymore because the math no longer works. 7-year loans with 6% interest for a truck that costs more than some homes. People are walking away. The truth is simple. The industry got greedy, pushed prices past the breaking point, and now the trucks are stranded in plain sight. Every full lot is a billboard screaming that the so-called demand was artificial all along. And when the lots overflow, the next domino falls where the insiders cannot hide, behind the closed doors of wholesale auctions. If you felt the squeeze of rising prices or seen the cracks in this market yourself, hit like so more people see the truth. Drop your story in the comments. We're building a record of what's really happening, straight from the people living it. Auction alarms. If you really want to know where the market is headed, you do not look at commercials or press releases. You look at the dealer auctions. That is where used trucks get bought and sold in bulk, and the numbers do not lie. Right now, those numbers are flashing red. The resale values that once soared during the supply crunch are crumbling fast. Dealers who used to bid aggressively for lightly used pickups are suddenly pulling back, discounting offers by thousands. Some one-year-old trucks are already dropping $15,000 below their original sticker prices. That is not normal depreciation. That is a collapse in real time. Independent trackers report week after week of downward drift, especially in the bloated full-size luxury trims that were marketed as indestructible investments. The same trucks hyped as holding their value are now liabilities. For consumers, this means the bubble is no longer theory, it is reality. The shiny truck in your driveway is worth less every single week. And dealers themselves do not believe in the fantasy anymore. They are cutting bids, hedging risk, and quietly admitting what Wall Street will not. The bubble has already popped, and when the values fall, the pressure shifts straight to the families still stuck paying record-breaking loans. Payment shock. Look at the monthly notes families are carrying, and you will see the cruelest evidence of all. The average payment for a new full-size pickup has smashed through $900 a month, with some high-end trims crossing $1,200. That is not transportation. That is a mortgage on wheels, and ordinary households are being crushed under it. Lenders stretch terms to 7 or even 8 years, just to make these bloated trucks look affordable on paper. But affordability on paper is not reality. Every month, families hand over a huge chunk of their paycheck for a vehicle that is already losing value faster than they can pay it down. Negative equity has become the trap. Within a year, many owners owe more than their truck is worth, chained to a loan they cannot escape. Repossession firms are already reporting busier schedules, and trucks are increasingly among the vehicles being hauled away. This is the part automakers never put in the commercials. They celebrate luxury interiors while ignoring the families who are financially suffocating in driveways across America. What was sold as pride and tradition has turned into debt and despair. And the worst part? This is only the beginning. Because when payments choke families and repossessions rise, the entire system starts to buckle under its own weight. And that collapse spreads far beyond one driveway. Luxury drift. Nobody asked for massaging seats in a pickup truck. Nobody begged for panoramic moonroofs, holographic dashboards, or chrome-laden interiors. But over the past decade, that is exactly what automakers shoved into the cabins of trucks. And they told you it was innovation. In truth, it was manipulation. Trucks were redesigned not for farmers, contractors, or workers, but for Wall Street executives chasing record profits. The old workhorse became a rolling showroom, stuffed with features that raised prices by tens of thousands, but added nothing to the truck's original purpose: hauling, towing, and getting the job done. This was not an accident. Companies intentionally built fewer base models and flooded dealers with premium trims, forcing families to climb the price ladder. A truck that should have cost $35,000 suddenly only showed up on lots as a $65,000 luxury package. The strategy was deliberate. They squeezed every drop of profit from your loyalty, betting you would pay more because you felt you had no other choice. Families stretching their paychecks were told this was progress. In reality, it was corporate greed wearing leather seats. That shift planted the seeds of today's collapse, because when automakers inflated trucks into luxury palaces, they opened the door for something else: competitors willing to prove that you could still build a simple, affordable truck without bankrupting the buyer. The undercut. The entire scam began to unravel when smaller, cheaper trucks stepped back into the spotlight. Ford's Maverick, priced more like a family sedan than a luxury SUV, showed America that pickups could still be affordable. Toyota doubled down with the refreshed Tacoma, reminding buyers that reliability and practicality do not require a $60,000 loan. These trucks became instant hits because they offered what Detroit had tried to erase: value. For years, the Big Three convinced customers that affordability was impossible, that supply chain costs, new tech, and inflation demanded sky-high prices. But the Maverick and Tacoma exposed the lie. If a company can sell a capable pickup for $30,000, why are other brands demanding nearly double for features most buyers do not even want? That question spread like wildfire through online forums, dealer showrooms, and family dinner tables. Buyers realized they were not crazy. They had been gouged. The undercut was not just competition. It was a mirror, reflecting the industry's greed back at them. Every time a buyer chose a Maverick or Tacoma, it sent a signal. People still want trucks, but they are done paying luxury car prices for what should be a working machine. And as the undercut gained traction, Detroit's house of cards began to wobble. Dealers could no longer hide behind market forces. They had to face the truth, and it showed first in the one place they fear most: the discounts they swore they would never hand out. Discount avalanche. It started with whispers. A dealership in Arizona quietly offered $12,000 off select Ram models. Within days, Ford countered with 0% financing on F-Series trucks. General Motors piled on with $10,000 trade-in bonuses for Silverados. Suddenly, the market that once laughed at haggling was showering customers with rebates, credits, and holiday sales that looked more like panic than generosity. The avalanche built fast. By midsummer, dealers were stacking offers like poker chips, desperate to move unsold trucks that had been sitting for half a year or more. A truck listed for $65,000 could realistically be driven off the lot for $54,000 or less before negotiations even began. Buyers smelled blood. The fiction of unshakable demand was shattered. The moment trucks started losing $10,000 to $15,000 in fake sticker value overnight, consumers realized just how badly they had been overcharged. The damage went deeper than dollars. Once buyers taste heavy discounts, they never go back. Paying full sticker becomes laughable. Automakers spent years building pricing power, but a few desperate months of rebates destroyed that illusion completely. Discounts that were supposed to be temporary survival tactics rewired consumer psychology for good. And the hardest hit of all were the so-called prestige trucks, the six-figure palaces on wheels that once symbolized success, but now looked like stranded liabilities. Prestige stalls? For nearly a decade, automakers built their profit empires on luxury trims. Platinum F-150s, Denali Sierras, and Ram Tungsten editions routinely broke $90,000, sometimes even crossing the six-figure threshold. Executives bragged about margins above 30%, calling these rolling palaces the golden goose of Detroit. But today, those trucks sit unsold, baking in the sun, their prestige withering by the day. Buyers are walking away. Banks are tightening lease terms, refusing to gamble on collapsing resale values. At wholesale auctions, barely used luxury trucks are shedding $14,000 or more in months, not years. Families who stretched to buy one are now discovering their supposed investment is worth far less than the loan attached to it. Yesterday's badge of pride is today's financial anchor. This collapse carries a symbolic weight. Automakers sold the story that Americans wanted luxury, that the working truck had evolved into a rolling status symbol. But when the economy shifted, when inflation ate paychecks and mortgages tightened, that story collapsed. People do not want chandeliers in their trucks. They want affordability, reliability, and dignity. Prestige no longer sells, it stalls. And that stall is not a pause. It is a freefall, pulling the entire market down with it. The bubble that executives thought would float forever is deflating fast. And the next shock will not come from chrome or leather. It will come from the very policies and technologies they once promised would secure the future. Tariff chaos. The price of a truck should come down to steel, labor, and design. Instead, politics turned it into a circus. Imagine this. One Ford pickup rolls off the line in Michigan with a sticker of $48,000. The same model, built in Mexico, is listed at $56,000. Nothing about the truck itself changed. The difference is tariffs. This is not competition. It is a rigged game, and buyers are the ones paying the bill. The idea behind tariffs was to protect American workers, but the reality has been chaos. Identical trucks now cost thousands more, depending on where they were built. Consumers are not blind to it. Forums and spreadsheets track VIN codes, assembly plants, and hidden costs. Shoppers walk into dealerships with receipts showing where the truck was made, and they demand the discount they know exists. Suddenly, the illusion of price stability is gone. For manufacturers, this is a nightmare. Do they eat the tariff and bleed cash, or pass the cost to customers and watch demand collapse further? Most are caught in the middle, neither protecting jobs nor protecting buyers. Tariff chaos is not just an economic nuisance, it is a trust killer. Once people see how arbitrary prices are, they stop believing in the system altogether. And that disillusionment feeds directly into the next reality, that even gasoline trucks, the supposed bedrock of the industry, are losing their grip on buyers who no longer accept inflated promises. Whiplash in gasoline. Gasoline trucks were sold as untouchable. Executives told us they justified premium prices because they were the backbone of America, built to last, built to haul, built to be worth every penny. But when the hype wore off, reality set in. The base price of a full-size pickup hovered around $65,000, far beyond what most families could realistically afford. Those who stretched themselves with 7-year loans quickly realized the shine faded long before the payments did. The result? Lots filled with unsold inventory and owners stuck in debt deeper than the ruts their trucks were built to conquer. The narrative of endless demand collapsed. Instead of seeing these pickups as essential machines, buyers began to view them as overpriced traps. If the core product, a gasoline truck, is supposed to be practical and dependable, why were families being asked to take on payments bigger than a mortgage? Curiosity turned into skepticism, and skepticism turned into outright refusal. Inventory piled higher. Dealers whispered discounts they never would have offered a year ago. What was once a profit engine turned into an anchor, pulling the entire market down. Worse still, the cracks showed just how fragile the industry really was. If buyers balked at paying $65,000 for a truck advertised as built for the working man, then the entire illusion collapsed. The halo effect that once protected pickups disappeared, replaced by resentment. What was marketed as pride and toughness became symbols of debt and betrayal. Once consumers questioned the price of gasoline trucks, they began questioning everything, from warranty tricks to inflated trims. That was the moment automakers quietly admitted their playbook had failed and began scrambling to reinvent their factories. You've seen how deep this collapse runs. And trust me, this is only the beginning. If you don't want to get blindsided when the next twist drops, hit subscribe right now. Stay ahead of the headlines, protect yourself, and join thousands demanding real accountability. Retool Reset. In boardrooms, the message has shifted from triumph to survival. Factories that once pumped out luxury trims are now being retooled to produce stripped-down work trucks again. The reason is blunt. Automakers finally realized the public will not swallow $65,000 base models anymore. They are racing backward toward affordability, utility, and volume, the very values they abandoned in the first place. Executives are framing this pivot as innovation, but insiders know the truth. It is desperation. The luxury-first model has collapsed under its own weight. Buyers have grown resistant to endless gimmicks and bloat. So now companies are scrambling to deliver trucks closer to the ones they sold in the 1990s. Simpler, smaller, cheaper. Suddenly, fleet sales to municipalities, contractors, and delivery firms look attractive again because those customers value price and reliability, not moonroofs and massaging seats. This retool reset is not glamorous. It is survival dressed up as strategy. And while the companies spin the narrative as progress, the ground truth is more painful. Entire plants are being reconfigured, suppliers are being forced to adjust, and workers are caught in the middle of another whiplash cycle. Families who bought into the six-figure truck dream now see new models coming in at $30,000 less, instantly turning their investments into liabilities. This reset isn't just a shift in design, it is a confession that the old model was a scam. And nowhere is that confession clearer than on the dealer lots themselves, where panic has replaced swagger. Dealer meltdown. Step onto a showroom floor today, and the energy is unrecognizable. The confidence, the smugness, the sense of control, gone. In its place is desperation. Dealers drowning in unsold inventory are resorting to carnival tricks to lure buyers through the doors. Free barbecues on Saturdays, prize raffles for foot traffic, even live bands playing in the parking lot. The spectacle looks more like a fairground than a business, but behind the music and giveaways is fear. Trucks are not moving, and the costs are mounting by the day. Sales tactics are desperate. Ads promise trucks under $32,000, but buyers find stripped-down shells with roll-down windows and no four-wheel drive. Inflated trade-in offers vanish into sticker prices. 0% financing hides fees and lost rebates. The mask has slipped, and consumers see the tricks, refusing to play. For salespeople, the toll is brutal. A job once built on confidence and charm now breeds anxiety. Showrooms feel like ghost towns. Paychecks shrink with every missed target. Buyers sense the desperation and push harder, walking away from deals just to receive sweeter calls days later. The balance of power has flipped. Dealers once set the rules. Now they are scrambling to survive. And when the gatekeepers collapse, the stage is set for something larger, a reckoning that spreads far beyond the showroom floor. Consumer power. For the first time in years, buyers finally hold the cards. The industry once dictated every rule, from inflated stickers to suffocating loans. But that illusion is collapsing in real time. When shoppers walk into a dealership today, they no longer beg for the privilege of paying $65,000. Instead, they shrug, turn toward the door, and let the silence do the work. Dealers, suffocating under the weight of unsold inventory, cannot afford to let anyone leave. And that is why walking away has become the most powerful bargaining chip of all. Patience is profit now. Waiting 12 months can save $20,000 on the same truck. This is not fantasy. Auctions and lots prove it daily. Families once trapped are flipping the script. Online, buyers share stories of rejecting deals, then receiving desperate calls with thousands in fresh incentives. The deeper truth is this: the power dynamic has shifted. For the first time in decades, manufacturers and dealers need buyers more than buyers need them. Every unsold truck is a liability. Every lingering unit a drain on cash flow. And when consumers recognize that imbalance, they stop being victims and start being negotiators. That is the lesson spreading today, and it leads directly to the wider impact. When trucks stall, the economy itself begins to buckle. Economic quake. This collapse is not just about metal sitting in dealer lots. It is about livelihoods unraveling. Pickup trucks are not just products. They are the backbone of profits for Detroit's giants. And the ripple effects are enormous. When production slows, layoffs ripple outward like shockwaves. Every factory job lost does not disappear alone. It drags down nearly 8 additional jobs tied to suppliers, restaurants, transport services, and local businesses that depend on the steady heartbeat of auto production. In towns across Michigan, Indiana, Kentucky, and beyond, the signs are already visible. Overtime shifts are being canceled. Suppliers are cutting back orders. Families that once counted on steady paychecks from assembly lines are tightening budgets, skipping dinners out, delaying home repairs, and bracing for worse. The pickup truck bubble, once sold as prosperity, is gutting communities one layoff at a time. Wall Street is not blind to the tremors. Shares of Ford and General Motors have slipped by double digits since inventory problems surfaced. Analysts warn that deeper contractions are inevitable if margins vanish completely. Investors who once cheered endless price hikes now question whether the business model itself was ever sustainable. The economic quake is spreading from factory floors to stock portfolios, from small-town diners to corporate boardrooms. And as those cracks widen, the political world begins circling, hungry for its moment in the spotlight. Political theater. In Washington, every crisis is a stage, and the collapse of the truck market is no exception. Politicians who never once stood beside a family signing a crushing 7-year loan now line up for televised hearings. Committees schedule sessions, subpoenas fly, and cameras roll. Senators rehearse their lines, crafting sound bites designed less for solutions and more for headlines. Accountability, they say, pounding desks. While families at home wonder why no one asked the hard questions when the bubble was inflating. The spectacle is predictable. Executives sit under hot lights, lawyers nearby, carefully spinning their words. Lawmakers shout for cameras, clips crafted for social media. Others feign outrage while protecting donors. None were present when families were shoved into $900 payments or convinced $72,000 trucks were somehow a fair deal. The theater changes nothing on the ground. Trucks still sit unsold. Families still carry debt heavier than their paychecks can bear. But the political noise does achieve one thing. It reveals how little faith remains in the system. When people see their pain turned into a stage prop, they stop looking to politicians for rescue. Instead, they turn inward, relying on patience, information, and each other. Permanent reset. Once a bubble pops, it cannot be reinflated. That is the hard truth facing the truck industry now. The sticker prices that once floated above reality no longer carry meaning. Manufacturers can dream up whatever numbers they want in boardrooms, but the market has shifted. Trucks will now sell for what buyers are willing to pay, not for what executives imagine. That psychological reset is irreversible. For consumers, this is liberation. The mythology of pickups as safe investments has evaporated. People know better now. They know trucks can lose $15,000 in value in under a year. They know waiting 12 months can mean paying $20,000 less. And once that awareness spreads, it never vanishes. Every purchase from this point forward will be judged by a new standard, not loyalty to a brand, but value to a family budget. For automakers, the consequences are brutal. The easy years of fat margins are gone. To survive, they must strip back, rethink, and rebuild trucks closer to what they were decades ago. Practical, affordable, and unpretentious. Wall Street will demand profits, but Main Street will dictate terms. The permanent reset has shifted control from corporations to consumers, from illusion to reality. And in that shift lies the true reckoning. The recognition that power never belonged in Detroit's boardrooms or Washington's halls. It belongs in the driveways of families who decide, together, when enough is enough. The bubble isn't just numbers, it's people, families, and futures on the line. You've seen how the system was built to trap you and why the cracks are widening every day. But now, you hold the power. Share this, speak up, and never settle for their version of the story. Stay informed, stay prepared, and subscribe because the next chapter is already unfolding and you won't want to miss it.